This poll from the INDSR shows that 51% of people in Taiwan want to spend more on defense. Is that significant? And if so, what's the motivating factor behind that?
I think that it's great news that a majority of Taiwanese people want to spend more on defense. I think that part of it, or I should say that I think that the bulk of the reason for that is because of the Chinese gray zone coercion and the aggression that China is showing towards Taiwan. And I think that part of it is also that Taiwanese people see that there is pressure from the United States to spend more on defense. President Trump was asked about this before the election, and he said that Taiwan should spend 10% of GDP on defense. Bridge Colby, the Undersecretary of Defense for Policy, echoed that number during his confirmation hearing. I don't think that 10% of GDP is a realistic target for Taiwan. And we could spend too much time arguing whether the right number for Taiwan is 3%, 4%, 5%, or something even higher. But I think that the general thrust of that resonates with Taiwanese people, which is that 2.5% of GDP is not seen as sufficient.
In this poll, a good number of people also support the idea of creating special budgets for the military to boost its defense. Can you explain how that would work?
So I think that the special budget was traditionally a way of addressing that uncertainty by MND. It didn't necessarily know how to budget for these items. I think more recently, though, what we've seen with the Lai administration is that the special budget might be a creative way to get around a deadlock in the legislature. So if the opposition party wants to obviously hold up the government budget and hold up defense spending and raise questions, it's easier to put a special budget forward in many ways than through the regular process. I think that if we're talking about this poll more narrowly and support for special budget in the poll, I mean, I think that makes sense on a very basic, practical level. People don't want higher taxes, and people don't want to contemplate trade offs. So if you ask somebody, do you want to raise defense spending, but you're going to have slightly worse healthcare or less investment in education or pensions, people don't want that.
One part of the report also shows that about 30% of the people also have no confidence in the military. Do you think that's because of the espionage cases that we're seeing being uncovered by the military?
You know, I'm not generally a very optimistic guy. I'm usually a pessimist. But when I see these espionage cases being uncovered and I see the rings being put out there in the public, I actually have more confidence now. Because if you're saying that there is no espionage in Taiwan's military, then I think you're just not looking hard enough. You're not taking it seriously. But to me, this shows that they are taking it seriously and that they're looking at this, that they recognize that it's an issue that they have to address and they have to root out. So, to me, if you don't hear anything about espionage, that's actually more worrying than seeing these cases and seeing these people brought to justice.